Hey there, everybody. How's it going? I used to be a runway model. I mean, could you not tell? But there are a few caveats that I want to get off in the first place. The first one is that I didn't really make any money doing it. You see, I did it back in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I was doing it for like charity events, and also just some lower level sort of like agencies and some people. But I actually had a really good time. I participated in the Charlotte Fashion Week. I did some other stuff that I don't really care to remember. But anyways, it wasn't actually that much, and I actually don't have that many photos from when that stuff was going on. Anywho, just kind of a quick backstory on how I got into it was that I had a coworker at the time who was actually a model, and she did it full time for like a while, and she actually traveled around the world doing it. And then of course she needed a real job, so she landed at the company that I was working at. So we became pretty good friends, and she said, "Hey, what are your hobbies?" We were just kind of, talking around one day, and I was like, "You know what's funny? I actually kind of want to, you know, oh, sorry about that. I had some people that were texting me. Anyways, she asked me about my hobbies, and I told her, I'd actually like to get into maybe modeling or acting because I spend so much time staring at myself in the mirror and plucking my hairs to borderline perfection. And she said, "Ooh, actually, I used to be a model." So she gave me her backstory, and then she said, "Try out for this fashion show that's actually coming up in just a few weeks." So I did. I tried out for the fashion show, and it was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I basically, they have you in kind of this. So for a lot of these runway things that are public, they have what's called open casting or casting calls, where they have a bunch of people. I'm talking like a few hundred that come out to these things from all over the place, right? We had people from Charlotte, Charleston. Yeah. And when they have you come out to these things, basically you're standing in line a lot of the time, or you're in like some kind of a waiting room, right? Kind of waiting for people to go. And you make a lot of friends. That's one of the most fun parts is you're kind of there talking with other people and just seeing, what it is that their backstory is. And, you can kind of tell like the people that are going to make it and the ones that aren't. And it was just really, really fun. It was a lot of fun. So anyways, I did this for actually a few different events, but essentially what happens is if you get selected, which I think I only got rejected like one time, and that might just be that they needed warm like bodies there. They had low expectations. So you get selected, right? And because you're a high quality person. And before the shoots, they typically will actually have you kind of come into the store or the place. So for instance, like one of the bigger ones that I had was Dillard's, and I did their Ralph Lauren line. I actually don't really have many pictures from that, which is kind of sad because the photographers chasing them down to get their pictures is borderline impossible. But you would come in and you would kind of, get your outfit pre-selected, right? You would fit something on. And sometimes that actually wouldn't happen. They would actually have you the day of the walk. They would just have you, kind of come in, and then they would throw you into something that they assumed would fit you given your measurements, because they would always take your measurements. You had to fill that out as you were doing kind of the casting call. And they would basically, it was just, they would make last minute changes. It's very much a show business sort of thing, right? They would change things at the last second. They would throw you in something that you had no idea what it even was. And that was not uncommon. In fact, I actually had it where sometimes I would be selected for a business, but then they would overfill, or they would want someone with a different look, and then they would hand me off to another business that would take me, and they would do this sometimes an hour before the show actually started. Before I get any further, I do want to clarify something. There's like a bunch of different types, but there's three main types of modeling. The first type is runway, which is what I did, which is typically you kind of get the worst of both worlds, because they want, people to have a very specific look, and they're very, very picky about those people. And also a lot of times you don't really get paid anything, or you do get paid and it's like barely, barely anything. The next type is actually like editorial modeling. So essentially what this kind is this is like your magazines, right? These are where they bring you in for a photo shoot. They will edit stuff. This is kind of where you're getting like the best of both worlds, because they can edit you after the fact, and you typically do get paid pretty well for these. And then the last one that I'll kind of talk about is what I call live modeling, which these are the people that will stand at like booths, right? Like, you know, the swimwear, or the when there's like a promotional going on for a new car or something. These are the people that kind of stand out there and go like, look at this. Those are your main kind of modeling. So I only ever really did runway modeling, which is fine. I mean, I wasn't looking to make it a career or anything, but it's cool to say that I was one of the people that got selected for, you know, the picky runway model people. So if you're looking to actually get into it, there's a few things that you're going to need. The first one is called a comp card. And essentially what this is it's just a card showing off some of your headshots or some of your, runway shows or whatever. And if you don't have any experience, it's totally okay. So what you need to do is you do just need to get some kind of headshots, right? Schedule an appointment with a professional, get some stuff done, get some comp cards there. And then, be sure to pass those out, whether it be in person, so go to an event, find an event near you, or even go online. That's actually a big thing nowadays to do, is go online and apply for a lot of these other modeling shoots. And typically you'll hear back from them, I think, relatively quickly. I don't actually know, because I applied to a bunch of places online out here in LA, and I did not get selected by any of them. I applied to about like 20 something places, so maybe I shouldn't be making this video. And if you're researching this topic, you've probably already heard this, but when applying for agencies, if they ask you to pay a fee up front, it is not a legitimate agency. A legitimate agency will take money out of what it is that you make, right? So they'll get a cut, whatever it is, but they don't actually make any money up front. Okay, this is a very important distinction, that people still fall into this trap a lot and get in with agencies that never get them anywhere and just take their money. The last piece of advice that I do want to give is that you're actually never really too old to get into modeling. Now, granted, there's a lot of nuance to this, because for certain kind of modeling, sure, like runway, it might be a bit more difficult if you're in your 60s and, you have your skin falling off and like no one to kiss you or love you at night because you made really bad life decisions. Yeah, that's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. However, you can go for it, and people nowadays, people are full-time models in their 70s. People are full-time models in their 80s. They might be doing it a little bit differently, like they might be doing print modeling or even live modeling or commercial modeling or whatever it is. But it's never too late. Go for it. The industry's changing, and I will say that as a guy, you do definitely have some leeway in that area. They are a bit less strict on guys in terms of our looks, because the bar is pretty low. Jesus Christ. But the last thing that I would say is for women, good luck. Totally messed around. Women, you guys also do have a lot of advantages too. You have a lot more jobs that are open to you. And this goes, again, for all different types of modeling, for runway, commercial print. The vast majority of modeling is done for women. So, yeah, regardless of your gender and regardless of your age, regardless of your build too, right? Go out for it, because the worst that they can say is no. Just make sure to work on your blue steel, no matter what it is that you're doing. God, I hate myself. Have a nice day.